The first thing you notice is the stillness. Not the calm kind of stillness that comes when the world is safe. The heavy kind that arrives when something is wrong and every living thing can feel it. In the pale light of early morning, an adult elephant stands in the open with her feet planted like roots. Her ears do not fan the air the way they usually do. Her trunk does not sweep the ground for food. She is not feeding. She is not moving. She is simply standing over something small and unmoving in the dust. Calf. And the mother will not leave. Not when the sun climbs higher. Not when the rest of the herd drifts a little farther away to feed. Not when the wind changes and carries the scent of predators across the plain. She stays, as if her body has become a promise. As if the ground beneath her feet is the only place left in the world that makes sense. If you stay with me until the end, you will understand why this moment has stopped people in their tracks for generations. Because what happens next is not just about an elephant. It is about memory and love and the thin, invisible line between life and loss. It is about an animal mind so deep and so complicated that even now we are still trying to understand it. The mother is known to the herd by her presence before she is known by anything else. She is not the largest elephant on the savannah. She is not the loudest. But the others follow her decisions like they are listening to weather. She has a way of standing that says, "I have survived seasons you cannot remember." Her skin is the color of storm clouds and old bark. Her tusks are worn at the tips from years of digging for water and stripping bark in dry months when the land holds its breath. When the herd moves, she moves with them, not in front like a queen, but near the center like the spine of a body. The calves drift toward her without being told. They brush against her legs for comfort the way children lean into a parent in a crowded place. This morning her name does not matter to the world. But the world has always known her kind. A matriarch. A keeper of routes and waterholes and safe places. A walking library of survival. The calf at her feet is her last born. Not newborn. Not fragile the way the tiniest calves are. Old enough to have tried to imitate the adults with clumsy confidence. Old enough to have run in circles for no reason except joy. Old enough to have learned that the world can be hard but still beautiful if you have the herd beside you. Now the calf lies on its side in the dust. Still, the mother lowers her trunk and touches the calf's face. Not a quick touch. A long one. Her trunk lingers as if it is listening. As if she is waiting for a familiar rhythm to answer back. She nudges the calf gently at first. Then again with more insistence. Then she pauses. And in that pause something shifts in the air. Because she already knows. But knowing and accepting are two different worlds. Far away, a low rumble moves through the herd. A vibration more felt than heard. The kind of sound elephants used to speak across distance. The kind that can carry through ground and air. One of the older females circles back slowly. She approaches with her head low. Her trunk extends toward the calf and the mother. She stops at a respectful distance and makes a soft sound that does not belong to anger or warning. It belongs to something else. Something quiet. Something that feels like the herd's way of saying we are here. The mother does not respond. Not yet. Her eyes stay fixed on the calf as if she is afraid that the moment she looks away the truth will become permanent. The sun rises. Heat begins to pull moisture from the soil. The dust lightens and swirls at the edges of the herd's feet. The mothers and aunties begin to feed because bodies must continue. Calves must be kept alive. Milk must be made. Food must be found. Even when the world breaks open. But the matriarch does not move. Hours pass. When the wind shifts, the scent of hyena drifts in thin threads across the open ground. The mother's ears lift slightly. Not in fear. In readiness. A protective adjustment. She takes one slow step forward and positions her body so she is between the calf and the direction the scent is coming from. She stands guard without even looking up. As if guarding has become her only language. A small group of people watch from far away. Not close enough to change anything. close enough to see the posture and understand its meaning. A ranger named Daniel is there with a field notebook in his lap. He has worked around elephants long enough to know when to stay still and when to disappear. Beside him, a younger colleague whispers, as if volume could make the moment worse. "Is it dead?" Daniel does not answer right away. He watches the mother's trunk lift and settle again. He watches the way the calf's chest does not rise. He watches the herd at a distance feeding in silence. Finally, he says very softly, "Yes." The younger colleague swallows hard. "She is not leaving." Daniel shakes his head. "No, not yet." They sit with the truth of it for a while. The younger colleague looks through binoculars and then lowers them as if she cannot bear to see too clearly. "Do we do anything?" Daniel's voice stays gentle and careful. "We do not interfere. Not unless the mother is in danger or the herd is threatened by people. This is their world. This is their grief." The younger colleague turns her face away. It feels wrong to just watch. Daniel's eyes do not leave the elephant. Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is witness. Sometimes the only gift you can offer is to not make it about you. And so they watch. The mother elephant lowers her head again and touches the calf. Then she lifts her trunk high and draws in the air, scenting, listening, trying to locate a reason. The calf's smell is changing in the sun. The mother knows every smell that belongs to her calf. The milk breath, the dusty forehead, the sweet dampness behind the ears. Now something else begins to mix in. A new scent, the scent that animals understand without needing a word for it. And still the mother refuses to leave. If you have ever begged the universe for one more minute with someone you love, you already recognize what is happening here. She is bargaining with reality, not with language, with presence, with insistence, with a body that says, "If I stay, maybe the world will reverse itself. If I stand here long enough, maybe the breath will return." She nudges the calf again. Harder now. The calf's body shifts a few inches in the dust. The mother freezes. For half a second there is something like hope in her posture. Then the stillness returns. The mother makes a low sound. A rumble so deep it seems to come from beneath the earth. The sound travels through the herd like a wave. One of the younger females answers. Then another. A chorus of rumbles begins. Not loud. Not chaotic. Measured. Connected. It is the herd speaking to itself in a language of vibration and breath. The mother finally turns her head. Just a little. She looks toward the herd. And for the first time since dawn, her eyes look like they are seeing the world again. She takes 2 slow steps away from the calf and then stops. As if something inside her pulls her back like a rope. She returns and stands over the calf again. The older female approaches closer now. She stretches her trunk toward the calf's legs. She touches the calf gently. Then she touches the mother's cheek. A single slow caress. The mother leans into it for a moment so brief you might miss it if you blink. But Daniel sees it. He writes a few words in his notebook with shaking hands. Contact between females. Prolonged touch. Mother remains with calf. He pauses, then adds a sentence he never expected to write today. This looks like morning. The younger colleague whispers again. Do elephants understand death? Daniel exhales. No one can climb inside their minds. But we can watch what they do. And what they do matters. The day stretches long and hot. Small birds land in nearby bushes and then lift off again. In the distance, a zebra brays. Life insists on continuing even when a single moment has swallowed your whole world. The herd feeds and shifts position slowly as the sun moves. They do not abandon the mother. They keep her within sight. They keep her within range of their low rumbles. They keep their calves close. Every so often one of the females walks back toward the mother and calf and stands nearby for a few minutes. Sometimes she touches the calf. Sometimes she touches the mother. Sometimes she simply stands with her. And then she returns to the herd, as if taking turns holding the weight, as if grief is too heavy for one body alone. The mother's thoughts are not words the way ours are. But if the shape of emotion can be translated into silence, it might sound like this. Not my baby. Not my baby. Stand up. Breathe. Come back. She presses her forehead against the calf's side. Her trunk wraps briefly around the calf's body like she is trying to pull it up. She tries once. Then again. Her muscles strain. Dust rises. Then she stops abruptly, because the calf's body does not respond the way a living body responds. It does not help. It does not push back. It does not cooperate. It is only wait now. And the mother stands very still, as if the realization has finally reached the deepest part of her. Somewhere around mid-afternoon, the wind changes again. This time, the scent of hyenas is stronger. Closer. The mother's ears flare outward. Her head lifts. Her trunk swings low like a weapon. She takes a step forward away from the calf and stamps the ground once. A warning. In the long grass at the edge of the open area, two hyenas appear like shadows. Their bodies are lean. Their eyes are bright. They watch the mother and do not approach. Hyenas are bold but not foolish. Not when an elephant stands over what she considers hers. The mother takes another step toward them. Her trunk lifts and she lets out a sharp blast of air. The hyenas flinch and retreat into the grass. The mother returns to the calf immediately, as if she cannot risk being separated even for a moment. Daniel watches and murmurs. She is defending it. Even now, the younger colleague's voice cracks. It is like she thinks she can keep it safe enough that it will come back. Daniel does not correct her. He cannot, because he does not know what the mother believes. He only knows what he sees. A body that will not move. A love that refuses to accept the rules of the world. The sun begins to sink. The light softens. The heat loosens its grip. The herd starts to gather more tightly as evening approaches. Calves press close to mothers. The elephant's silhouettes become darker against the sky. And still the mother remains. Now the older female returns again. This time she comes with two others. They approach in a slow line. No sudden movements. No pushing. No impatience. They stop beside the mother and stand there. 3 adult females with the mother at the center. The calf at their feet. For a long time none of them move. Then the oldest of the 3 lowers her trunk and touches the calf's face. She inhales. Then she makes a low rumble. The other 2 answer. The mother answers too. Her rumble is deeper and longer than before. It trembles through the air and ground like a note held too long. Daniel feels it in his chest. The younger colleague grips his sleeve. What are they doing? Daniel whispers. It looks like a ritual. It looks like they are acknowledging. Together, the mother steps back half a pace. Just half. But it is the first time she has moved away without snapping back immediately. The oldest female touches the mother's cheek again and then touches the calf again. Back and forth. Mother, calf, mother, calf. A bridge made of touch. As if she is saying this is real and you are not alone. The mother's ears droop slightly. She lowers her head. For a moment her whole body looks heavier. Like she has been carrying the sky on her shoulders and now she is finally allowing it to rest. Night comes fast. The stars appear. The world cools. In the darkness elephants are both enormous and vulnerable. Predators move more freely. Sights become less clear. Sound becomes everything. The herd begins to drift away toward a safer resting area where there is more cover. They do not rush. They do not force the mother. They wait. The mother stands over the calf still. Her trunk rests against the calf's side. Her breathing is slow. Daniel and his colleague remain at a distance. They have protocols. They cannot stay all night. But Daniel cannot stand the thought of leaving without knowing what the mother will do. The younger colleague speaks softly. If we go, will the hyenas come? Daniel stares at the mother's silhouette. They might, but the herd is still near, and the mother is still here. For now nothing will approach. The younger colleague's eyes shine with tears. I hate this. Daniel's voice is rough now. So do I. They wait a little longer. Then Daniel stands. He looks once more at the mother elephant and the calf in the starlight. He whispers words that no elephant will hear. I am sorry. He turns away and guides the vehicle back toward the main track. As they drive, the mother remains a dark shape under the weak streetlight of the moon. Still, guarding, refusing. In the deep night, the herd rumbles softly to one another. Low vibrations that travel through the ground. The mother hears them. She feels them in her feet, in her bones, in the air. They are not leaving her. They are calling to her. Come with us. We are here. You are not alone. Somewhere close by, a hyena laughs. Then another. The mother's head lifts. Her ears spread wide. She steps away from the calf again. This time she does not return immediately. She stands a few paces out and faces the darkness. The hyenas remain hidden. They can smell the calf. They can smell the inevitable. But they also smell the mother. And the mother is not inevitable. She is danger. The mother lets out a low rumble that is not grief now. It is warning. It is strength. It is the voice of a living giant telling the night to keep its distance. The hyenas do not approach. They circle farther out, waiting for time to do what teeth do not dare. By dawn, the world is pale again. The air is cool. The herd is nearby. They have not traveled far. They have rested within range. And when the first light touches the mother's back, she is still there. Her trunk still touching the calf. Her body still a wall against the world. Daniel returns early. He cannot help it. He needs to know. He finds the mother exactly where he left her. His chest tightens. The younger colleague whispers, "She stayed all night." Daniel nods slowly. Yes. Then the mother surprises them. She steps away from the calf and walks a short distance toward the herd. Her pace is slow, reluctant. The herd answers with a series of soft rumbles. 3 females approach her. They surround her loosely, not trapping, supporting. The mother turns her head back toward the calf. She stands there for a long time as if her body is split in 2 directions. Then she walks back to the calf, touches it one more time, long and gentle. And then she does something that looks almost like a kiss. Her trunk traces the calf's forehead and mouth. A final imprint, a final memory in touch. Then she turns and walks away. Not fast, not dramatic. As if leaving hurts more than any wound. As if every step away tears something inside her. The herd moves with her immediately. They do not celebrate. They do not rush her forward. They simply go with her. The calf remains behind. The plain is wide and indifferent. But the moment is not indifferent. Because the mother did not leave alone. She left held by the presence of others. Daniel watches until the herd becomes a line of gray shapes blending into distance. Only then does he realize he has been holding his breath. The younger colleague wipes her face. Is that it? Daniel's voice is quiet. For them, yes. But the story does not end there. Because elephants remember. Weeks later, when the season changes and the first real rain softens the land again, the herd returns to this area. Not by accident. Their routes are not random. They are maps written in memory. The herd moves across the plain with purpose. Calves now a little bigger. Young males play fighting and testing their strength. The mother who lost her calf walks with them. She is feeding again. She is moving again. She is alive. But Daniel notices something. As the herd nears the place where the calf died, the mother slows. Her head lifts. Her trunk sweeps the air. She changes direction slightly and walks toward a patch of ground that looks like any other patch of ground to human eyes. But to her it is not any other place. It is a place loaded with meaning. The herd slows too, as if they feel it. They gather at a respectful distance. The mother steps into the center and lowers her trunk. There are bones now. Not many. The sun and scavengers have done what they do. What remains is pale against the earth. The mother touches the bones carefully. Not like she is searching for food. Like she is reading. Her trunk traces the shapes. She lifts a piece briefly and sets it down again. Then she stands with her head lowered. No rumble this time. No dramatic display. Just stillness. And in that stillness there is a feeling that reaches across species. The feeling of remembering someone who is not here. Daniel watches from far away again. This time he does not feel like an intruder. He feels like a student sitting at the edge of a lesson too big for words. The younger colleague whispers, "She came back." Daniel nods. Yes. Elephants have been observed doing this. Investigating bones and tusks. Spending time with the remains of other elephants. Touching them with trunks and feet. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes with a kind of agitation. As if the smell of memory is both comfort and pain at once. What does it mean? Daniel answers carefully because he respects the question. We cannot say what it feels like inside her mind. But we can say this is not nothing. This is not simple curiosity like a child poking a rock. This is consistent attention to the dead. This is recognition. This is the weight of social bonds. This is the echo of a relationship that mattered. The younger colleague's voice is small. So do they grieve? Daniel looks at the mother elephant standing over the bones. He thinks about the night she refused to leave. He thinks about the way the herd surrounded her and rumbled and touched her face. He thinks about how she returned here as if pulled by a thread no one else could see. Then he says, if grief means being changed by loss, if grief means your body seeking what is gone, if grief means remembering, then yes, it looks like grief. And here is the part most people never consider. This story is not only about the mother. It is also about the herd. Because elephants are not solitary minds drifting through a landscape. They are connected minds. They are families that extend beyond blood into a network of aunties, cousins, sisters, friends. They babysit one another's calves. They comfort one another in stress. They coordinate movement and defense. They teach. They remember. When one elephant suffers, the others do not ignore it. They respond. They come close. They touch. They vocalize. They stay near. It is not human kindness. It is elephant kindness. And it is real. If you are still listening right now and your chest feels tight and your eyes burn a little, I want you to pause for 1 second and subscribe to this channel. Because this is what we do here. We tell the true emotional side of animal life. The hidden behaviors, the breathtaking abilities, the moments that prove the animal world is not empty machinery but living, feeling complexity. Subscribe and stay with us because the next story will be even more unbelievable. Daniel begins to build his narration for the public report the way he always does. He chooses words carefully because people turn animal stories into entertainment too easily. They either make animals into cartoon characters or they make them into objects. He refuses both. In his report, he describes the sequence without pretending he knows everything. He notes the mother's prolonged attendance to the calf, her repeated touching and nudging, her defensive stance toward hyenas, the herd's repeated approach and physical contact, the collective low rumbles during the hours around the calf, the mother's eventual departure with the herd, the return weeks later to the location and the mother's attention to the remains. He writes it down because memory fades and people forget that animals are not just bodies moving through a landscape. They are lives. They are relationships. They are histories. Months later, a group of visitors arrive with cameras and quiet excitement. They want to see elephants. They want the iconic image of a herd at sunset. They do not expect the lesson they are about to receive. They stand at a safe distance while the herd moves across the plain. Children point and whisper. Adults smile. A few people say how majestic, how huge, how lucky we are to be here. Then the mother stops. She is older now. Time moves differently on a savanna, but it moves. She pauses and looks toward the place where the calf died. The visitors follow her gaze but see nothing special. Just land. Just grass. Just wind. Then the mother walks toward it slowly. The herd slows with her. And without anyone telling them to do it, the visitors fall silent. Because even people who know nothing about elephants know what stillness can mean. They watch the mother lower her trunk and touch the earth. Not feeding. Not digging. Touching. A woman in the visitor group whispers. What is she doing? Daniel stands nearby and answers quietly. She is remembering. The woman's eyes fill with tears, and she does not understand why. Maybe she has lost someone too. Maybe she sees her own grief in the elephant's posture. Maybe the boundary between species is thinner than we pretend it is. She whispers back. They feel it too. Daniel says, they feel something, and whatever it is, it deserves respect. Later that evening, as the visitors return to camp, the woman approaches Daniel privately. She looks embarrassed by her emotion. I did not think an animal could make me feel this way. Daniel nods. Most people think animals are either simple or sentimental depending on what story they have been told. The truth is more complicated. The woman asks, do you think she loved her baby? Daniel does not hesitate. Yes. Not human love. Not love with language and promises and future planning the way ours is, but love in the way nature builds it. Attachment, protection, bond, memory, a life that matters to another life. That is love. The woman looks down. What can we do? Daniel's answer is immediate. Care about them. Protect their space. Support the people who keep poachers away. Speak about them like they are lives, not ornaments. Teach children that wild animals are not props for photos but nations of their own with rules and families in grief. Because here is the uncomfortable truth that sits under this story like a stone. The mother did not lose her calf because the world is cruel in an abstract way. She lost her calf in a world where droughts stretch longer, where waterholes vanish, where human expansion squeezes old migration routes into narrow, dangerous corridors, where conflict happens because elephants and people need the same land, where some still kill elephants for ivory, where a mother elephant can survive predators and storms and sickness for decades but still be undone by a single bullet or a snare or a poisoned water source. This mother's calf died without human violence in this telling. But countless calves do not get that chance. And the mothers still stand over them. And the herds still come close. And the rumbles still travel through the ground. And the world keeps moving, whether we deserve it or not. One afternoon long after the original loss, Daniel sees the mother again at a distance. She is with the herd. She is feeding. She is guiding calves that are not her own. Because elephants do not only mother their biological babies. They mother the herd. They become aunties. They become teachers. They become the steady presence that makes young elephants brave enough to explore the world. A young calf bumps into the mother's leg. Playful. Clumsy. The mother pauses and touches the calf's back with her trunk in a gentle sweep. The calf squeaks and spins away. Daniel feels his throat tighten. Because the mother is still a mother. Even after loss. Even after grief. Even after a night when she stood over death and refused to leave. She continues. Not because she forgot. Because the herd needs her to continue. Because life asks for persistence in the face of pain. Because love in the wild is not a fairy tale. It is endurance. The younger colleague stands beside Daniel, now no longer as young as she was on that first night. She says softly, I still think about her. Daniel answers, so do I. The colleague asks, do you think she ever stopped missing the calf? Daniel watches the herd disappear into the gold light of late afternoon. He speaks slowly. I do not know, but I know this. Somewhere inside that elephant is a map of everyone she has ever walked beside. Every calf she has protected. Every female who has touched her face when she was afraid. Every loss that has changed her. You do not carry that and come out unchanged. You carry it. You live with it. You keep moving anyway. That is what survival looks like when you are not alone. When the herd becomes your nervous system. When touch becomes your language. When sound becomes your rope back to the living. When the memory of the dead becomes part of the route forward. And that brings us back to the moment at the beginning. The mother standing over her calf, refusing to leave. If you wondered why she would do that in a world where leaving is often the difference between living and dying, here is one answer. Because elephants are not built to discard love quickly. Their bonds are not shallow. Their minds are not empty. Their lives are not simple. They are animals, yes. Wild and powerful and shaped by instinct and ecology. But they are also shaped by something else. Connection. And connection does not vanish just because a body stops breathing. It echoes. It lingers. It changes behavior. It rearranges a life. That is why this story spreads. That is why people watch to the end. Because somewhere deep in us we recognize the shape of that feeling. the refusal, the vigil, the final touch, the slow walk away, the return to the place of loss as if the ground itself can answer questions. We recognize it because grief is not uniquely human. The details are different. The meaning may not be identical. But the pattern of a life responding to loss appears again and again in the animal world in ways we are only beginning to take seriously. So when someone tells you animals do not feel, remember the mother elephant in the rainless dawn standing over her calf. Remember the herd returning one by one, touching and rumbling and staying near. Remember the slow walk away that looked like every step hurt. Remember the return weeks later to touch bones like reading the last page of a story that ended too soon. Remember that there are truths that do not require words to be real. And now I want to ask you something. What animal should we explore next? Dolphins and their names. Wolves and the way they carry loss through a pack. Crows and how they remember faces. Orcas and the mysteries of their family cultures. Comment the animal you want and the question you want answered. Because this channel is for people who do not just want facts. They want meaning. They want the part of nature that reaches into your chest and reminds you that life is not a machine. It is a web of relationships. If the story moved you, please like the video. It helps more people find it. Subscribe for more animal mind stories that combine real behavior with cinematic emotional narration. And share this with someone who thinks animals are simple. Because sometimes one story is enough to change the way a person sees the world. And the way we see the world determines the way we treat it. Before you go, let the final image stay in your mind for a moment. A mother elephant in early light. Calf in the dust. A herd at a distance rumbling softly through the ground. A love so large it looks like stillness. A grief so deep it looks like refusal. And a life that finally chooses to keep moving, not because the loss was small but because the herd was there to hold her up. That is the truth inside this story. Not that animals are human, but that they are alive in ways we have underestimated for far too long. Thank you for being here. Subscribe and watch the next episode on your screen now.